All right. Well, welcome back to Coffee, Kids, and Crazy. I'm assuming you're coming back because you've listened to us before.
Mm-hmm.
That's what my hope is, in my heart at least. But
Yes.
I'm Brittany. This is Seth. And we are having lots of fun. We're actually matching today.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know this. We've got some of our Love Me on Purpose swag on. It's our long sleeve shirts. They're in a
I
very
like long sleeve.
fun color. I don't even know what this color is. Greenish, bluish,
It's green.
something.
To me,
It's really
green.
cool though.
It is.
I like this one a lot. But anyways, if you're not watching, I'm trying to describe what we're wearing because I think it's funny.
And we need to describe something else.
We do. We need to describe our memes that we do every single time because we've got the...
I love memes so much.
You have a big love for memes.
I'm a meme addict, I think. I save them all on my phone. I just go back through.
Do you have a whole folder on
I
your...
have a whole giant folder of memes.
I'm just glad that Lauren loves it.
Yeah.
The dad jokes are a little, they start to wear on me, but you posted something the other day where Lauren was just dying laughing at your...
She literally lays in bed laughing at my memes that I'm posting.
funny.
And like sometimes we'll be in bed laying there finding memes together and just cracking up. And then I film her cracking up. I'm like, this is what happens when Lauren checks my memes. Okay.
Oh, that's funny. All right, here's the meme.
We have a good meme.
Mm-hmm.
It is a picture of a dad, I think.
You can just see a hand, really.
Yeah, you can see the dad's hand, but he's obviously sitting on the toilet, and his daughter is handing him some toilet paper, and the words say, "That moment when having children starts to pay off." Mm-hmm. Don't know if you've ever been in that situation before. I need toilet paper. Someone help.
Somebody. Addie. Lincoln.
Brooklyn.
Who's closest to me
Yeah.
right now? It's just kind of funny.
It is super funny.
The funny reality that we're so grateful for those moments with our children.
Definitely feeling this meme.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's a funny one.
So in this episode, we are going to answer another question. Every once in a while, we just take a question that we commonly get, like a frequently asked question. And so that's what this episode is. And I'm excited for this one. Here's the question.
Okay.
Can I ask you?
Yeah.
What is the best approach if your 13-year-old daughter is dating someone she hardly even knows?
Yes.
Like Anna from Frozen, trying to get married to the guy she just met.
But they finish each other's sandwiches. Yeah, right.
Yep.
Because we've all seen that movie enough times.
1,000.
Yeah. Well, I think that, dating at 13 is kind of a joke a little bit for me because, how are they dating? They can't drive unless you drive them, So one of the big things that I think about in teen stage like this is parents have to remember 3 key things that you can control.
Oh, yeah. I love this.
It's permission, opportunity, and resources.
Yeah.
Those are the 3 things that you always control as a parent. And it's really, I think it starts to manifest itself really strongly in like the teen years a bit more because you have to give, the resources to drive them to their dating location.
Yeah, that falls under resources.
Permission to leave your house to do that. And the opportunity, which is that, I'm going to take you to the movie theater or the restaurant, or I'm going to open my home and there's an opportunity there. So you have to think through these things. You don't have to do yes to 13-year-old dating, which I'm sure at school, that's where the dating may be more so happening.
Yeah.
So if you're faced in this situation, just remember those 3 things: permission, opportunity, and resources, what you do control. And then I would approach having the conversation of, what does dating look like? What does that mean?
What do you mean when you say
exactly?
Dating? Yeah.
So what are you trying to do with this person? What are you not trying to do with this person? Like I've asked lots of these questions anytime that my daughter's like somebody, she's a hopeless romantic. Oh my goodness.
My girl is the same.
She loves anything to do with romance. She loves all the feels of all of it, so I understand this one. I don't know that Addie's going to be as much like this, but Delaney definitely has always been all about the feels. So I think that when we encountered this about this age, the first time we encountered it when she was here, this boy came up to her at school and said, "Can I have your phone number?" And she was like, ha ha ha, and walked away with her friends like, I don't know what to do. This has never happened before. And she's like, I don't even have a phone,
Yeah.
And so, then she came and called Ben. That was the best part, is we have a voicemail that's been saved. Dad, this boy Raul just asked me for my phone number and I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm kind of freaking out, which was so funny. And I love that she came straight to Ben. And then, so Ben and her had a conversation of, you can have my dad's phone number if you'd like to date me.
Come on.
And so that was the first thing that we talked about is, well, you don't have a phone. And the only way that you could actually even think about dating this boy is if you had a conversation with your daddy first. So go ahead and give him your dad's number. Well, she did. She said, if you want to date me, you have to talk to my daddy.
Come on.
And she goes, do you want his number? He didn't.
No,
he didn't. Not. He didn't want his number. So that fizzled out pretty quickly. They did kind of have a little flirty thing that I heard about. Nothing really came of it. Later on, a couple years later, there was a little bit more of a serious kind of brewing towards the end of her time frame in that, I think it was 7th grade. And so she, this boy really liked her and she really liked him. And she wanted to figure out, like, how do I date? And so we asked all these questions. And it really came down to, I don't know that we do dating, but I would love for you to get to know this boy. And for us to get to know this boy. So you're more than welcome to have him over. So kind of, dating in our living room is what it looked like.
Yeah. I love that.
But she didn't really know this boy except for through school. He didn't go to church. Where we went to church, he wasn't friends with us anywhere else. So, and I mean, I had to give the boy props though, because he actually showed up at our house.
Wow.
And it was the funniest thing because they went swimming and it was like the awkward of awkward interaction. Like the kid had a full shirt and shorts and Delaney's in a swimsuit, but she's like got a towel wrapped around her. I'm like, you guys have no idea what you're doing. And it's perfect. I'm so glad that you don't. But
yes,
it really was that permission, opportunity, resources. So he could communicate with us and he could come to our house and we were all there. So I would send the little brother and sister out. Hey, go get in the pool with your sister.
Yeah.
And she's like, what? I'm like, oh, well, this is our house. Sorry, we have to all be together.
Yeah.
So that was really our strategy, was inviting this person into our home. So, because that was the safest place for us. That was the safest place for us to feel like we don't know you. We don't know your intentions. And our daughter's interested. So the best place that we can nurture and develop this new thing is in the safety of our home.
Yeah.
And you're welcome to do that.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much what we did with that same situation, which dating in our living room originated from when I was 16.
Yeah, you had this with yourself.
I did.
As well.
My parent, I went off the deep end. I stopped serving the Lord for a season. Ended up dating this guy, snuck out, all this horribleness. And my parents basically said, sure, you can date him in our living room. Mm-hmm. And I did. I was 16. I had a car, but I dated this boy in my living room. He would come down every weekend, actually from Sacramento area. And for like 4 months, we dated on the weekend in my house.
Wow.
And
what would you do? Sit on the couch, talk?
Watch a movie. Go in the backyard, hang out. Well, my brothers watched everything. I could go. We could go across the street to the park if my brothers came with us.
At the house in Redding.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And
that big park.
It was just, like that was the permission, and that was the opportunity, and that was the resource that we had, and
backyard, couch, porch,
pretty much
park.
Exactly. And anytime that we got too close, my mom would call me in the bedroom, and she'd be like, "Hey, I need you guys to adjust how you're laying on the couch. Otherwise, he can go home." I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, I'm already dating. But I was like, I know she's real about this because she's going to
follow through with what she said.
She's been consistent. So okay.
She actually means that.
And I remember I could say goodnight to him because he would stay until like 10 o'clock at night. And I would go outside and, to say goodnight, give kisses, all that. And my dad would take our dog, who never before, he would put in the outside pen out in our backyard area and then wait at the garage.
The dog would?
No, my dad would.
Oh, your dad would.
For me to be done.
Yeah.
Or if the dog was outside, he would go out and get her and bring her in the house and wait at the garage. Never, ever before this moment.
Yeah.
But so these are just the things that
lots of accountability built in.
Totally. That's what happened.
He can hear. Yeah.
That pressure of my most valuable possession is with someone I don't know and I don't trust.
Yeah.
And I'm going to do everything I can to protect it.
How did that feel when you were a teenager? Like, okay, maybe it's like my dad's spying on me, mom's watching everything, spying. Maybe it feels like that at the time.
Oh, yeah.
But now you're using language like, my most valuable possession is with someone I don't know, and they're kissing, and they're like, like how, now that you're looking back,
Yeah.
I'm sure in your mind you're like, oh my gosh, I'm so grateful. My dad treated me like his most valuable possession. He's watching out for me. He's protecting me. He's keeping an eye on me. But as a teenager, maybe you were like, no.
Yeah. I think that even soon after this happened, it wasn't even now being a full adult and having children. It was even after that season of, you know, my parents they didn't tell me no, I couldn't date him. Because I think they knew that if they said no,
you were going to do it in secret.
I was going to do it, whatever I could to have it. Yeah. So they said yes.
This is huge. Right there. Say that one more time.
They didn't tell me no.
Because they knew if they did,
that I would figure out another way. Which my mom describes this as, it was like she had gotten a taste of candy. And if we told her she couldn't have a piece, she would go and eat the whole bag behind her back.
Or probably go to the mall and steal some.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they said yes, but this is the boundary.
Yeah.
So I felt like...
Yes, here's how.
Which the big thing for me is like they could see that this was a need I had at 16, was this boy.
A desire in it, yeah.
And they had value for my thoughts, feelings, and need. They had respect for it. They didn't agree with it. They didn't see the same need. So they're going to have respect for my need there. But here's the boundary, because we can control permission, opportunity, and resources.
Yeah.
So that's what happened there with that.
Yeah.
And so what shifted for us was just like, I felt like I had freedom there. But, you know, later on, I remember my dad doing all this. And then, you know, was not the normal at all.
Yeah.
And so I think that, I mean, looking back at it, even in that little season, I was grateful for my parents protecting me when I wasn't willing to protect me.
Wow.
I didn't see myself as a valuable possession.
Wow.
So I was willing to let this boy have access to my body, really, and my heart when I didn't know, because I wasn't in a good spot with the Lord.
Wow.
And so I had forgotten the things that I had said were so important that I wanted in my life for a husband and what I thought I was worth. I had kind of forgotten that. So my parents were not willing to forget.
Yeah.
And so that's what that season looked like for me.
You recognize some of that as a 16-year-old?
Definitely.
Yeah.
So, I mean, when I came back to the Lord, and actually Ben was soon after this whole dating experience, like he showed up while I was still dating this guy. And Ben was just completely different. Like I watched my parents treat Ben differently because they trusted him.
Yeah.
Like Ben slept in my brother's bedroom across the hallway from me. And I remember this boy stayed the night one night because he came to church with us. I remember he spent the night on the couch, and my dad made me shut and lock my door. He put the dog in the hallway and slept with his door open.
Yeah. And he probably checked on your door a couple times
sure
throughout the night and everything else.
So
now it's easier. You just put cameras up and
that's another level of.
That's another level.
Yeah, that's probably not ideal. No. But the thing is that like what I saw my dad, the difference between this boy and Ben is that there was trust, because they knew Ben would help protect me instead of violate me, and that they didn't know with this other boy.
Yeah, reminds me of this verse. I think it's in Psalms 133. It says, "Who am I that you are mindful of me?" And I always thought, for a long time, I thought, who am I that you're mindful of me? Like that's the tone of voice I read. I'm like, who am I that you're mindful of me? And then I realized the writer is going, you're so mindful of me. You're paying attention to everything, thinking about everything. You got me on your mind. You must think something different about me than I think. And so instead of going, who am I that you're mindful of me? It's, who am I
Yeah.
You're mindful of me?
Like value.
Who am I? And that reminds me of this, of like, your dad is showing you by his mindfulness, his paying attention, his boundaries, all of it. Your dad, your mom are showing you,
Totally.
I think about you differently than you do. We see you as valuable. That's why we're doing all this. We're trying to show you through our mindfulness of you, our attention on you, that you really matter. And you're going, who am I?
Yeah. It definitely changed. And I think that's the biggest thing is like when I saw Ben, I was confronted with, oh, this is what I've said I wanted. This is what I said I wanted to feel like, wanted to be treated. And then when I saw my family respond to Ben in that same way,
There's
it was
so much more freedom.
Well, and I was confronted and convicted in, wow, where did I go? That I changed and willing to accommodate something that I actually is doing nothing but tearing away my relationship.
Yeah.
So when I came back to the Lord, in that season, I came back into church, I remember like embracing my dad for, he never stopped hugging me, but it was like that I longed for this embrace and where I hadn't this other times.
Yeah.
So I remember standing in the back of church and I'm hugging him and we were both just crying because he knew something had shifted and we're just weeping, holding each other.
Wow.
And it was just the standard that they kept, even though I wasn't.
You weren't.
You know, and it wasn't a standard of control. It was a standard that they had seen me say I wanted before. And they just weren't willing to shift it, which I think is, you have to remember when you get in the stage of dating, you know, having value for your teenagers' needs, because they do have needs.
Yeah.
You know, they're trying to navigate this.
Yeah.
But doing it well and within, you know, boundaries and a place of where there is freedom instead of all control.
Yep. And you talked about, you basically were being reminded of what you said you wanted. So you knew what you wanted younger. So you were actually somewhat prepared for this. And that's the conversation you and I have had the last couple of days. Like, hey, my girl's 10. My girl she's like, she got a few boys. She's like, I really like them, Dad. I really like them. I'm like, good. Like, this is
so
normal and healthy.
Brooklyn saying
I know.
that.
She is all about it. Like, she likes boys. And so I'm in this place of like, how do I prepare you? Because she's like, Dad, when I turn 13, I'm going to be dating. Like, well, you know, this all depends on the trust level that you have. Like this trust level thing, your choices either build trust or break it. Like, this is a huge part of our home all the time is our trust level with each other and stuff like that. But so we were talking, and that was something that you said to me that was so impactful that I'm totally going to use. We've sort of done it, but not with that language where she likes princesses, Disney princesses. She likes them. She's like Anna, like, oh, we finish each other's sandwiches. She's like,
she's in love with love.
She loves love.
Yeah.
And she's all about it. And she told me the other day, she told Lauren said, hey, let's just talk a little bit. When you think about God, what do you think about? She's like, well, I think God is real, and I really love him, and I talk to him a little bit, but most of the time I'm thinking about boys. I'm like, oh, good to know. Like, she just flat out says it, like, I'm into God, but I'm really into boys.
But I love the boys.
But you said something about kind of harnessing that princess thing that she has. Not every girl's full on into that, but she's quite into it, and that, like, okay, you're a princess. You're my princess. You're God's princess. So kind of reinforcing some of the identity of like, this is how I see you. This is who you are to me, what you mean to me. Let's talk about your prince. Let's create a list. Let's talk about the things you want in them. And so some of what we've done before she turned 13 and wants to start dating and all that stuff to prepare is like, I've said, well, okay, you like this boy. Talk to me. Does he love Jesus? Yeah. Is he kind to people around him? Yeah. What happens when someone's mean to him on the playground? How does he respond? How does he treat his mom? Yeah. Does he have a good relationship with his mom? Because I know how boys and moms are usually that's trickles into or very much trickles into
yes, it does.
Their relationship with the girl. And so I ask a lot of those questions to get her to think, what do I actually want? Do I want? And I've asked her those questions like, oh, he's not always kind. Like, well, is that somebody you want? Now, is that something you want your prince to have? You want a kind prince or you want an unkind prince? And so I really love that. That was valuable to me, and I'm going to totally bring that language in. But really making decisions about what you want. In your case, you forgot what you wanted.
Mm-hmm.
No one else did.
Yeah.
Your parents didn't. And then you were very strongly reminded, confronted of it with Ben. But you did, as a child, in preparation for this, is think about what you actually wanted in a prince before you got in there. And if you don't forget, this can really help kids, because they're like, I actually know what I'm looking for, and you're not it.
Totally.
So I don't want you. I'm not going to let you in because you don't have what I want.
And this has been I think if I didn't have that place to reference, I would have probably been so easy to keep accepting something else, So, but once I was confronted with it, I was like, you're right. I don't want to do this. I don't want any of this that I've been saying yes to. I remember I even said I liked scary movies, which I hate scary movies. I'm the worst.
And you said that just because you wanted.
I was saying yes to anything in that moment because I was just so far from my course at that time. But, and so I think, again, it was so grateful to have the reference point that my parents, we did before, or youth group, or different seasons of my life where we had kind of mapped out, what does this mean? What am I looking for? And, it's funny because Addie is 11 and she's been, I don't know why she's picking up baby names right now, but
for her future babies.
Yeah, exactly.
For your grandchildren.
So she's got a list of names, and
Brooklyn has that too. At 10, she's thought about some.
Oh yeah. So Addie, and she's talking to me about, her baby names and what she's going to do for a living, and, what her husband's going to be like. And then she's listening to all these things, and she's like, I'm going to have such a perfect life.
She's on it.
And I said, a perfect life. She goes, it's going to be hard, but all the other stuff's going to be perfect.
She also seems like she's the type of kid that would go, yeah, you're not what I want.
Yeah,
no,
next.
Like she won't forget probably because
she's pretty
so
determined.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
come on, Lord.
It's just, I think that, again, if you're in the season where your daughter is kind of leaning towards that, dating, all those things, I think staying connected, really big, finding ways to really have influence. Again, I think I've said that so many times, but it is so true, is connection is how we gain influence, and you have to be willing to lean into to connect with them and how they see it, for that to change and shift.
What about as well when they come and say something to you, the way you respond when they tell you something, I like this boy? How we respond also affects whether or not we stay connected, stay a safe place for them to talk to you. Like, I love it that my daughter's like, Dad, I really like that boy. I'm like, come on, let's talk. What do you like? But making sure my reaction to what she says facilitates a continuation of a safe place, facilitates connection, I don't get scared.
Yeah. Well, it communicates I can handle.
And even if I am a little bit scared, I don't show it. I can handle this.
It's all about I can handle anything you're going to throw at me, because I'm not going to withhold love from any mistake. And it's like this test, that they bring to you is, how am I going to handle messy, pain, disappointment? And how we respond or engage and stay connected and pursue connection communicates a very loud message to our kids.
Yeah.
So that's a really crucial element of just even the pursuit and what we're doing. And, I think that one of the testimony piece, if I could give you, of, the season I wasn't serving the Lord, saw Ben, saw how my family was interacted, and I got convicted and confronted, and came back to the Lord. It was beautiful. It was awesome. But, I then changed kind of and had more intentionality with my parents and my dad than I had before. Not that we've always had a good relationship there. And my dad's always, I'm totally daddy's girl, always have been. But I remember walking in one night and telling him, Daddy, you were the first man I ever fell in love with. And, just months before that, I could barely let him hug me because I was so convinced that he wasn't for me in my own belief system. And so I think that if you're struggling with that piece with your kids, where there's maybe some tension, or maybe you're in the midst of that same season, just to remind you to stay holding your end of the rope, your end of that connection. Like, that's one of the biggest things that, I watched my parents, redo my room when we moved, because I was disconnected and I was scared, because we moved when I was 16, and that's part of what spiraled all this. I watched them love me in the way that I heard it. I watched them continue to pursue me, continue to encourage me, continue to value things that I valued, even though they weren't necessarily something that they saw value in. They made a way so I had a yes, not just always no's from them.
Yeah.
And I think that's really a big part of this
huge.
season that you're in, is finding ways where you can share that control with your kids, and remembering what you do control, because if you don't share that control, you're going to lose all of it.
Yeah.
And that's a pretty big thing for the season that you're in right there with that age group.
Yeah.
So
This is so good.
But
I'm ready.
okay, good.
I'm ready for my girl.
She's coming for you, no doubt.
I know. She is definitely coming for me.
Well, again, just to encourage you parents out there to stay in the fight for connection.
Yep.
Because that's where you're gonna win.
No matter how far they walk away, hold on to your end.
Connection is the winner. That's what I would be choosing.
Yep.
So, but thanks so much for listening.
Yep.
Hope you had a good time.
We'll see you soon.